my personal return in 2022 was actually Happy New Year and welcome to my first YouTube video of the year, and this is going to be my biggest ever portfolio update so far. I'm going to go through essentially my entire portfolio, all the investments that I have as at the end of 2022. To be transparent, so we can reflect on it in a year. Going to be going through what I contributed this year, how much I made or lost this year, and yeah, exactly how much I have in each different investment and type of account and so on. So let's get into it and hopefully it's helpful. Also, just quickly going to say, make sure you subscribe. I've got a lot of 2023 related videos coming, how to budget, how to start investing, all of that stuff. Hopefully in this month in January, if I can actually sit down and record them for once. So yeah, subscribe for more videos coming this month and this year. So to get straight into it, you're gonna now see my investment portfolio tracker. This is the dashboard essentially. I'm pretty happy with this. This is something I've been sort of developing and making over years. There's a lot of graphs. I'm gonna get into this main dashboard, but what I've essentially done is to make it a bit simpler. In this extra sheet here, I then collated all my main investments. So the dashboard we're going to come on to more shortly because that's obviously aesthetically pleasing. But what you can see here though, overall though, my growth since inception, so since I actually started investing, is 11.73%. Or £6,700. My equity, so how much sort of market value I have, is 64.7k nearly, and my cost is 57.9k nearly. And then on the right here, you can see my total investment portfolio. A little breakdown down here, how I split things up and how I'm going to be going through things in this video is I have my non-ticker investments, my ticker investments, my crypto, and then my pension. To quickly rattle through what that means, a ticker is a stock or an ETF, so things that can be tracked using Google Finance. So if we look into the ticker symbol tab, I have things like VUSA. I can then pull through all of this data very easily, and because it's a ticker, it makes it very easy to track using Google Sheets and the Google Finance function. Non-ticker are things like index funds or private investments that you can't track. So I have to type in the market value manually, and if I want to update that, I then have to do that manually. Crypto is then obviously a bit different to sort of stock market investments like index funds, ETFs, and stocks. So I track that separately. And then finally, I have my pensions. With my pension, I sort of exclude that from some things and then include that in other things, because ultimately that's money I can't access until I'm, 55, 65, whatever it is down the line. Whereas non-ticker, ticker, and crypto are all more accessible accounts, so I can access that money whenever I want. So I guess if you look at it from a sort of accessibility point of view, I have about £40,000 that I can access, and then £25,000 that is locked up until later on in life. So my actual total then is, yeah, what you see in this sort of bit at the top with the growth, the equity, and the cost. If we look at this investment portfolio graph on the right, however, this excludes my pension. This is just the £40,000 that's accessible. And as you can see, my main investment, of course, what I talk about a lot on this channel is the FTSE Global All Cap Index Fund accumulation, where I've got nearly £29,000. So of my £39,000 I've got as accessible cash, £29,000 or 71.2% is in that one fund, the FTSE Global All Cap. Hopefully that helps you understand a bit how this works. So we're going to come on to the graph shortly. Essentially, this is actually a spreadsheet that I sell if you're interested in tracking your investments. There's an instructions tab. You essentially input the different categories, so different like providers, accounts, and investments you use. So this works wherever you live in the world. You can customize this. For example, recently, because I moved to Australia, I added Mercer, who I have my superannuation with, and now in my pension tab, I've pulled that through. And then all you then do is you get, so for example, the ticker tab, there's once again instructions at the top. The red highlighted cells are the only ones you need to update, and everything else then pulls through automatically. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The non-ticker tab, same sort of thing, instructions at the top. You only update the red cells, everything pulls through automatically once again, and then it sort of generates a little overview at the top, so you can see tab by tab the overview from non-ticker, ticker, crypto, and pension, and then ultimately that all gets pulled through into this wonderful, aesthetically pleasing dashboard, which has a lot of graphs. It breaks up all into different sort of buckets and categories, so different type of accounts, brokers, different sort of types, by index funds, stocks, crypto, and so on and so forth. So that was a bit of a long background in how this works, but hopefully that makes sense. And we're going to get into my actual investments now. And if you do want to get this, link will be in my description, the first link in the description. I guess if you made it this far, the first 10 people that buy it use code NY2023 to get 20% off. So yeah, Thank you very much. So I've now made this tab to make it a bit simpler rather than jumping back and forth through all the tabs, just to give an overview of what I've actually got. So when it comes to my non-ticket investments, my main investment is the FTSE Global All Cap. And what I've done here on this tab, I've highlighted the red, the cost basis and market value, because that's probably what's actually important to you. The cost basis is my actual contribution and the market value is then what it's actually worth. So the FTSE Global All Cap, to be honest, makes up the large majority of my portfolio. I've been investing into that now for 4.5 years and it's only grown by 2%, which is obviously pretty disappointing. I'm going to come on to my actual return that I got in 2022 towards the end of the video. But yeah, not great growth, but obviously it makes up, nearly 50% of my portfolio just in that one investment alone, and that is housed in my stocks and shares ISA. I've also got a private investment in free trade, which I invested into a couple of times years and years ago now. I invested on 2 different points in time, but the last market value I saw for that in terms of the price per share worked out to be £1,228. So they're my main 2 non-ticker investments. There's then sort of a bit of cash and free shares that I have just on different platforms. To get into the ticker stuff now, so these are things obviously we can track using Google Finance, which makes it quite handy, but essentially my main investments once again are into 2 ETFs. So VUSA, which is essentially my main investment on Trading 212, and then VWRP, which is my main investment on free trade. VUSA is an S&P 500 ETF. VWRP is a FTSE All World or a global ETF. Even though ticker is stocks and ETFs, my main 2 investments are in these 2 ETFs. Between all these different investments, I have £3,300 and £2,900 is in ETFs. So as you can see, my approach very much is to use index funds and ETFs in my portfolio when it comes to building my wealth, and predominantly using global index funds and ETFs because I personally take the global approach. I've talked about that a lot. I've made a lot of videos on that already. So yeah, check out my channel if you want to know why I use global funds. But that's just the approach I take to keep my approach, diversified, hands-off, passive, all of that good stuff. To be honest with you, the rest of the positions are relatively small in terms of their actual value. They're all 130, 40 pounds or less, but I've got a bit of Tesla. Obviously, Elon Musk produces the cars. A bit of Diageo. Why? Because of Guinness, of course. Every time I drink a pint of Guinness, I'm actually paying myself a dividend in some sort of weird way. Nike, GameStop. Oh, Nike actually first of all was just a free share that I got and I kept it. GameStop obviously jumped on the train when everyone was getting into it, when that whole massive saga happened, just to support the people. And surprisingly, I actually made a bit of money off of that just through luck, and then I thought I'd hold on to the 1 share. I think it actually split, the stock split, so now I've got 2 shares, and it's actually, not lost that much money, and I'm just gonna hold that. It's like £30, so I'm not too fussed either way. And then finally, a bit of Coinbase, which has lost the majority of its value. So with Coinbase, Nike, and Tesla, those investments are all on Stake, which is an investment app. I've got a referral link if you want to sign up to that. It's another investment app, but I'm not an accredited investor, so I can't invest into ETFs, so I have to invest into individual stocks. And essentially any free share I have got, I then sold and put into either Tesla or Coinbase, both which are down by quite a large amount, which isn't ideal. But yeah, that's the sort of story behind why I have these. I mean, it was up to me. This money, of course, even though it's a few £100s, would once again be in a global ETF or index fund. But because of the way the platform works, I've not been able to do that. So I just chucked a bit of money in Coinbase, a bit in Tesla, and I've held on to the free Nike share. So that's sort of the thinking behind that. And that is a ticker side of things. So as you can see, when you look at my non-ticket investment, so my FTSE Global All Cap in my stocks and shares ISA, it's pushing £30,000 and it's been over £30,000, I believe, at points in 2022. My whole stock and ETF portfolio, is only just over £3,000, so it's about 10%. So you can see I'm sort of prioritizing that stocks and shares ISA and the FTSE Global All Cap. To then get on to crypto, and crypto had a terrible 2022. I think Bitcoin was one of the better performers and still lost 64% of its value, which tells you a lot about what happened in crypto in 2022 and also the volatility when it comes to crypto. I mean, I've been continuing to invest into it, £25, £30 every month here and there, normally into Bitcoin and Ethereum, which obviously are my 2 main positions. Because I've been investing into it for a few years, even though there has been huge crashes, I'm still actually, up on both those positions, and the growth between Bitcoin and Ethereum is in the hundreds of percent, which I guess sort of shows the benefit of starting to invest early and also investing regularly through the highs and the lows, which I'll continue to do. So they're my 2 main crypto investments, Bitcoin and Ethereum. In terms of my overall portfolio, they actually make up a relatively small amount, only about sort of 7-8%. What's interesting was though, there was points in time where crypto was making up sort of 20, 25, 30% of my portfolio, but two things have changed, I guess, over the last year. I've much more been focused on investing into my stocks and shares ISA, so that position has ballooned, making my crypto positions worth less. And also, because of the crypto crash, it's like a double whammy of pushing that crypto position of my overall portfolio downwards, which is why it's now relatively small. But I'm fine with that. If crypto gets to all-time highs again and it skyrockets, I'll continue investing, and that percentage of my portfolio may be 25% again. If it continues to drop, I'll continue to invest. Yeah, that's my thought process on that. And then finally, CRO, which most of this money is the money that I've staked. I've got the crypto.com card. I think it's the Jade Indigo one, or whatever it's called, but you stake 10,000 Crow. So most of that money is sort of been staked to get those benefits like Netflix and Spotify reimbursement, cashback, airport lounge, all that stuff. I've also made videos on that card and a review, and that's also had a pretty huge growth. When I actually bought my original Ruby Steel card, it must have been over 2 years ago now, CRO was literally pretty much worthless, and that £120 or something I put in to get the card has essentially given me like a mad get growth. So even though that position has once again crashed because CRO had a terrible 2022, the growth is still up, although I guess in sort of relative terms, you know, the equity is only £787, not a huge amount of my portfolio, but had I chucked in, you know, a few grand in there a few years ago, could have been a very wealthy man right now. But of course, we don't do if, buts or maybes, we do absolutes. And finally, to go on to the pension, so this is now stuff that's essentially locked up. So going back to the dashboard, I include it in these headline numbers, but in the rest of the graphs, I don't include the pension, generally speaking, just because that's money that I can't actually access. So I have my global index fund, which is a decent amount, and this is from my workplace pension in the UK, which I contributed into for a number of years. I put in 6%, my employer matched 6%, and the market value now is over £17,000. Of my portfolio, there's actually quite a large amount, so 26.5% is in that workplace pension, which I'm no longer contributing to because I'm in Australia, but it's just sat in the UK. Now, this first FTSE Global All Cap accumulation, that first one is my SIP. So I opened up a SIP with Vanguard in about May 2022. Also got a video on why I did that and how it works and what a SIP is. So now I'm in the last bit of the video in terms of how much my investments have actually returned in 2022. So you saw, since I've sort of been investing and tracking everything, I've grown about 12% in my investments, which isn't really a huge amount considering that's over 4 years. But of course, you know, think long term, stay the course, carry on investing, all of that good stuff. But in terms of 2022, it was actually a pretty shocking year. So at the start of 2022, at the end of 2021, I had about £50,000 in my total investment portfolio, including everything. At the end of 2022, I had roughly 62,400. The number you saw on my tracker was a bit higher because the market's now been open in 2023. It must have increased slightly, don't know what happened. But based on this tweet, when I worked out when it was a bank holiday, I had £62,400. So across 2022, it looks like my investments have grown roughly £12,400. However, in 2022, I also made £22,700 worth roughly of contributions into that pot, whether that's my own contributions, employer matched contributions, and so on. So actually, if you factor those contributions in, my personal return in 2022 was actually negative 20.45%. So a negative or a minus 20% return. It's worth saying it's a bit of a crude, rough calculation because I'm not actually taking into account when those contributions were made. Some of those contributions may have made money, some may have lost money across the year. It's essentially a straight line or straight line down calculation I've made, whereas a better calculation to do would be to, you know, look at each contribution when you made and work out what's called a time weighted rate of return rather than just a straight line rate of return. But I've not really got the time to do that and I can't really be bothered. So a quick calculation shows I lost 20% in 2022 when it comes to investing, even though my portfolio actually ended higher. That's because of my own personal contributions I made across the year. So I'll finish by saying that 2022 is probably the least I actually checked my investments, and of course it's not great to be down 20%, but the negative return, the quite large negative return, doesn't really bother me. And because I sort of didn't really check my investments that much in 2022 because I was quite busy as sort of COVID was ended in the UK, had a few holidays, was doing other stuff. It meant that my automatic investments carried on going in each month, which is great, and my portfolio is still, I guess, growing to some extent, and hopefully it will grow over the long term. My focus is going to be carry on to invest into my ISA, my SIP, my new Australian superannuation as much as I can each year. If I can get another £22,000 worth of contributions, then I'll be very happy. If the market goes up, I may reach an £80,000 plus portfolio, which is great next year. If the market goes down, then it means I'm investing at lower prices like I was in 2022. So who knows what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna carry on investing, and that's really the best approach to take in my opinion. And I'll wrap this video up here. If you did enjoy, the spreadsheet is available for sale. Remember the discount code NY2023. The first 10 people can get 20% off. All the videos I sort of mentioned throughout this, I will link in the description. So click on those to carry on your financial education, and I hope they're helpful as well if you do watch them. But yeah, hope this video was also helpful, and hopefully see you in a year for another entire portfolio review, and also hopefully see you next week for the next video in 2023. Thank you very much for watching.